Hey Tally, how's the Mage Tower going?
Oh, hi Evie. Yeah, really well, thanks.
I guessed you must be having fun because you've been playing it for hours. How many did you beat?
Well, look, you know what I always say about winning, right? That's just elitist. Sometimes I like to do content just for the pure, simple, unbridled pleasure of it, you know, just for the fun. So honestly, I haven't even been keeping track of all the ones I've beaten.
Oh my god, you haven't beaten any?
Hey, they're really hard, okay?
Not even the Disc Priest one?
Hey, they buffed the worm, okay?
Well, look, it doesn't matter because I've just started a little business venture that might be right up your alley. Mike?
Oh, hey, Tally. I heard you were a total failure at Mage Tower.
Mike Ybarra?
That's my name, since I already defeated all 36 challenges in the first hour they became available.
Man, he is such a chad.
I know, right?
I'm here to offer you this once-in-a-lifetime boosting opportunity, courtesy of Evie Mike Boosting Services. For just 2 million gold, I'll take care of your pesky Mage Tower problem and get you that sweet, sweet transmog. But don't delay, this is a limited time offer because I've got to go solo a plus 28 other side key at 6.
This is your new business?
Isn't it great? Me and Mike are equal partners and get paid the same.
Yep, the same. Absolutely. Me and Evie, totally the same pay. Equo im equo.
We do get paid the same, right, Mike?
Oh, hey, anyone want some milk?
Knowledge is power.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show in a special bumper episode, it being the last reset before 2022, because it's Christmas! I mean, Winter Veil. And we have a lot to talk about in what has been, unironically, the best week or so of gaming that I have enjoyed all year. And yeah, some of that is because Endwalker released, which, don't worry, we're not going to talk about that. But quite a lot of that was because not only have I been genuinely, unironically loving the 9.2 PTR, like big time, but I have probably put more hours into the actual live retail game, World of Warcraft, this last week than at any other time in 2021. And because it is a special Winter Veil episode, Evitel and I have taken a considerable amount of time and effort and production value to wrap up all of the news and events in incredibly attractive presents, which we have placed under our tree of knowledge, and we will let you open them right now. But please save the bows, okay? Because I'll use the bows again next year. And I don't want to give too much away, alright? But some of these presents are legit. Like, we've got awesome blue and red spoiler stuff from the PTR, including the appearance of a very important, very popular, much anticipated old friend. We've got what most people think is basic, unofficial confirmation of the theme and setting of the next expansion. We've got controversy over the Mage Tower and the Exploring Kalimdoor book, and a whole ton else besides. So, without further ado, let's open up our first gift and get started. Save the bows. Oh, no. Well, you know, this is just a little one to start. Kind of like the Office Secret Santa, where you're only allowed to spend $5 on a gift. But everything we talk about today is happening against the backdrop of Blizzard staff staging a genuine strike in favor of QA staff, who Activision Blizzard King are, surprise, surprise, dicking over. With Brian Bulatow, I don't know if I've said that name right, I don't give a shit. Google him, you'll see why, sending out an email to staff urging them to consider the consequences of unionizing like some bargain basement Don Corleone, or let's make it seasonal, Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. Boo, Mr. Potter. So yeah, basically, f*** this arsehole. And look, I'm not here to sell you unions, okay? I'm going to point you towards Hazel's recent video for that, which actually explains everything really nicely. The fact is that Activision Blizzard King workers want it. It is illegal to stop or discourage it, hence the chicken shit vague threat threat level of the language in Bulletow's email because, and don't forget, Brian Bulletow is a scaredy cat chicken shit. And most important of all, the fact that if you are against staff organising, then you agree with Bobby Kotick. Like, if you and Bobby met at a party, you'd probably get on really well and become friends because you have so much in common with Bobby Kotick. And honestly, is that the person you want to be? Anyway, this is as much as I'm going to talk about this today because I've covered it extensively in the past. There's a link to donate to striking ABK staff in the description, and I just think it says something that Activision Blizzard are so moustache-twirlingly evil and vile that it genuinely looks like they might be on the verge of accidentally unionizing the games industry. Like a Winter Veil miracle. Wow, what a great start. I totally undersold that present in hindsight. I hope they're all that good. Let's open the next one. Ah yes, Legion Time Walking, now extended till January 2022, and which brings with it Legion Mythic Plus, those cool Nightborn weapons on the vendor, and of course, the much anticipated return of the Mage Tower, a series of 7, I would say, beyond raid boss level solo challenges divided among WoW's 36 specs, the completion of which earned a unique and time-limited artifact skin back in Legion, and which now rewards a recolored version of the Mythic Tier 20 set for each class, plus the flying book mount for completing all 7 challenges. Gear is scaled to level 50, conduits, covenant abilities, and legendaries are disabled, which means it's just you and the boss, toe-to-toe, 1v1, and may the best person win. A true test of player skill and ability in a challenge that may take hours or even days, and in some cases, hundreds of attempts, and which will require dedication, tenacity, but above all, the will to know it was a shit show, obviously. Nerf Mage Tower or I unsub. I was eagerly awaiting the fell werebear since the day it was announced, and what did we get? Nothing. The only thing I wanted from this patch was MT, and they effed it up on a monumental level. This might be the end if devs don't fix the situation. Hey, do you want to do something fun? Because it's Christmas Vale, you know? Well, this show has existed for quite a while now. So long, in fact, that we actually covered the launch of the OG Legion Mage Tower on this very show. Should we go all Ghost of Christmas Past for a second?
No, it was a shit show, obviously. Is this a joke? How is this remotely logical or fair? Why the hell would you make content very gear dependent and skill dependent? The Mage Tower Tank Solo Challenge is literally impossible for me to complete right now. I have put many Legion Full War supplies into the construction of the Mage Tower. I want to be rewarded for this. If I can't get a fair chance at receiving the new artifact appearance before the Mage Tower is destroyed, I will end my subscription. And my own personal favourite, challenge is not about making things difficult.
Well, that is crazy. I look like exactly the same. And it's fair to say that the 2021 Mage Tower, just like the 2017 original, took a number of players by surprise with its unforgiving nature at first. And actually, there is a fair argument that today's Mage Tower is, in many ways, objectively harder. The fact that it can't be eventually outgeared, the fact that we are minus legendary effects and artifact weapons, and not just the signature artifact abilities either, but that whole tree of other perks and handy things. And the fact that in at least one challenge, as I found out to my horror when I thought I was about to complete the Worm Dude after just a couple of attempts using my trusty Legion muscle memory that I still had firmly in place, has new, more difficult mechanics, like the stupid worm doing a stupid enrage when you kill the shaman dude. So now you have to kill them both at the same time, which, you know, fine, whatever. It just would have been nice to have known, you know? It may even have been a little too hard. Blizz have made alterations to most of the challenges since they released, so I can understand the frustration from a lot of players. I, myself, thought that Tugar and his stupid worm were overtuned when I was in there and was convinced that I would not be able to do it. But you know what? There was a little Wintermas miracle, and about 10 hours of attempts later, I did, in fact, got it. And then a few hours after that, I managed to get the Fury Warrior challenge done too. I'm currently working on Vengeance and Demonology, 2 specs that I didn't get around to in my Legion marathon. And I'm not even joking here, but if I can do them, then they are not overtuned, alright? Patience and practice are obviously the main factors, but also clever gearing. I took my Disc Priest into Emerald Nightmare for the Seed Trinket, which made the whole thing just like much easier. I used level 45 weapons on my warrior so that I could put the Crusader enchantment on them, which really helped the particular problems that I was having. And I spent like 60,000 gold on Miss of Pandaria crafted PvP gear because that's all got gem slots on it, but you know. And for me, that gearing for the various challenges has been one of the unexpected highlights of the entire thing. I understand it's not for everyone, and that's okay. Not all content has to be. But for me, Mage Tower is just lots of what I love about WoW and actually video games all in one place. And that's why I am once again asking Blizz to please keep it up until 9.2 releases. You know what? I was talking about this the other day. I've got a sneaky feeling that one of the features of next expansion will be to make all time walking raids and dungeons permanently available in some way, because I think we're just at the stage where that's the obvious thing to do, you know? And this would be a great first step to that. Hashtag keep Mage Tower open. Please. May the glowy book of Chadness be yours. Oh, except the Sigrin challenge, which is definitely bugged. Because I'm sorry, but I keep getting all 3 abilities going off at the same time, like 3 times in a row. And I'm sorry, that can't be right. So that one is definitely broken and totally not a reflection on my skill at all. F you, Blizzard. F your Mage Tower. Keep your book. Yeah, F you for your jank content. Let's see what's next from under the tree. It's a shit in a box. Sorry, that was supposed to go to Bobby Kotick's house. Let's try again. Ooh, let's call this a Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Because this week, WoW released a new shop bundle of mounts and pets, including a new pet, Blinky. And I know, and I agree, I know. But that's not actually what this section is about. Because, intriguingly, this particular collection of stuffs is called the Dragon Pack, because all the mounts and pets included are dragons, or you know, dragon adjacent. Some of them aren't actually dragons at all, but it's called the Dragon Pack. And on the face of it, this is nothing to read too much into. There are, after all, a lot of dragon mounts and pets in World of Warcraft, because dragons are cool, and people love buying dragon stuff with their money, and Blizzard loves your money, so of course the Dragon Pack exists, right? But here's the thing, Internet. We've talked lots about how store mounts do have a habit of foreshadowing future content in the game, and the Dragon Pack, and especially the timing of it, has got people excited, with Steve Danusa recently confirming that the next expansion will see us return to Azeroth, and with the last couple of store mounts being new, rather fantastical creatures, and with Rathian said to be specifically looking for the Dragon Isles last time we saw him, and with the new Exploring Kalimdoor book, more on that later I'm afraid, going out of its way to specifically mention dragons at every opportunity, and also the Dragon Isles in particular. The smart money in this community has already been that 10.0 will be the Dragon Isles expansion anyway, and the Dragon Pack, which is full of dragons and features beautiful new art depicting the dragons all flying over a luscious green island, hasn't exactly done anything to dispel those theories, let's put it that way. You're doubtful, I can tell. Well, don't forget that these promotions are usually planned and set in stone reasonably far in advance. And if Shadowlands had been progressing on the expected schedule, then of course we would have had that new expansion reveal last month, which, if it had happened, would make now the obvious time to release the Dragon Pack bundle, wouldn't it? If the expansion they had revealed last month was in fact the Dragon Isles. Basically, it's the Dragon Isles. This just unofficially seals it for me, and that's interesting, isn't it? In the original lore, the Dragon Isles are actually just full of old god temples, but I don't think that's where Blizzard will go with it. I've got a feeling that next expansion, we are going to see some untouched forests and natural habitats full of fantastical beasts like massive cats and birds and stuff, like WoW's version of the Galapagos Islands sort of thing. And maybe the odd old god temple. I can't help it, I just like old god temples, okay? Something to think about. Let's see what's next under the tree. some stocking fillers. Blizz pushed the Incense of Infinity to live servers this week, which means that for just 500 gold, any character you have can instantly learn every conduit available to them at item level 200, which is clearly a wonderful life. Thank you, Grandfather Wintervale. On the PTR, the new Incubus model is now in place for Warlock players, who can now choose between either this suspiciously long loincloth boy, the existing Succubus model, or a random selection of either of both. There is also a new ability for the demon, which could mean that it becomes the standard companion for Demo and Affliction, which is clearly a wonderful life. Also on the PTR, recolors of those cool glowing Tazavesh swords are dropping in Zereth Mortis. Ooh, and also there are new Night Elf faces. Oh, no, sorry, those are the old ones? Sorry, these are the new Night Elf faces. Or they could be the old ones. Okay, 3 of these are new faces, and they are replacing 3 of these that are the old faces. Wonderful, thanks everyone. What's next? Okay, time to get started on the second thing that's been bringing me joy this last week, the 9.2 PTR, which again, maybe it's the eggnog talking here or the otherwise lack of content that we've had over the last year, but I have been genuinely, thoroughly enjoying my time in Zereth Mortis, doing WoW button pressing, killing and collecting type things, building up my cipher of the first ones, and doing the campaign story quests, all of which are now on the PTR. Except for the final chapter, Judgment, which I've got a feeling won't be like a full chapter anyway, but basically a cutscene like the final chapter was on Korthia. And in a minute, I'll put a spoiler bot up and we'll talk about all of that story because there are some really interesting things to talk about. But before that, and I'm sorry I have to say this again, but I do, why are these story quests on the PTR? Testing the new zone and world quests and the cipher and the raid and new trinkets and tier set bonuses, getting data for balancing tuning? Yeah, absolutely, I get it. That's what a PTR is for. But putting the whole story of the patch on there too, so that everyone now just knows it, either in full because they played it, or even worse, in secondhand snippets where they just get the highlights, which is usually the end bits, without the intended build-up or context. I don't want this. I don't think anyone wants this. Please stop this. Hashtag keep story off the PTR. Please. But suffice to say, there is in fact a lot of very important story on the PTR, so I'm going to put up a Bluebot spoiler bot. Yeah, I know, this should be Redbot stuff, right? But it's not, because there's no data mining or going through the files here. This is stuff that Blizzard have put on the PTR in plain sight for everyone to see and test, so here it is. First, let me say that, like everything in Zereth Mortis so far, these quests are great. They have you gallivanting all over the new zone, delving into some genuinely impressive environments. I just had a ton of fun. It's good stuff, seriously. The first bit of lore that might be of interest concerns the Crown of Wills, and like much of this stuff, you've probably seen bits of it online with people talking about it and giving their opinions. Like everything we cover today, there are links to helpful Wowhead articles below. But basically, this all takes place after we rescue Anduin from the jailer in the Sepulchre raid and give him his old armor back, which I guess all that's going to be in a cinematic, which is nice, but also a shame because, you know, he objectively looked so much cooler as a Zoval meat puppet. Like, I know it's bad being a meat puppet, but he looked really cool. He could have kept the armor, that's all I'm saying. But our band of noble heroes and Sylvanas set about trying to find a way to not all get dominated by the jailer when we face him in the Azerite disco room. And this results in the Crown of Wills being created from the shattered Helm of Domination and infused with power by those who had resisted domination in the past. That being Bolvar, Sylvanas, when she broke free of Arthas' control in Warcraft 3. This is the bit that people were getting confused about that was data mined a couple of weeks ago. And with a lot of help, Anduin. And honestly, the crown looks a bit underwhelming considering it used to be the Lich King's hat, right? But I really like the idea of a new helm for free will being made directly from the Helm of Domination, and with it needing the essences of those that had survived and resisted the jailer's control. And the quests and scenes that happen around it are genuinely really good. But of course, because of the PTR and the way it works, what most people know about this is there's a Crown of Wills now, it looks looks rubbish, and just like that, there's no domination. Without the context of like playing the game, or even actually seeing the scene play out in full, all the plot points and story beats feel a lot less built up and pleasingly delivered than they actually are. It hurts the story and people's understanding and ultimately appreciation of the story to have it on the PTR like this. Likewise, the following quests, which I'm sure you've also heard about. And the things you probably know are, Pelagos becomes the new Arbiter, and it's revealed that Argus destroyed the old Arbiter, which, granted, when you hear it like that, sounds shit. I totally agree. I clowned on the idea of Pelagos becoming Arbiter when it was data mined last episode, because he is just famously so useless and doesn't seem to fit the role. It seems really random, but you're missing so much context that way. Play the quests, and okay, it's still not Shakespeare, let's not dick around, but you need to make a new Arbiter since the last one got dissolved. Zereth Mortis is where the new one would usually be made, but that's tricky right now because of the Jailer's continued assault on the zone. So, with the help of Pelagos and Clea, we liberate a bunch of facilities that we will then use to infuse some worthy soul into the Oracle body that we recovered earlier to create the new Arbiter. And the whole time that we do this, Pelagos is running around with us, being really interested in the process and what makes an Arbiter, as well as expressing concern that in his opinion, the whole process isn't really compassionate enough. Like, a computer is talking about how the Arbiter judges which souls deserve a shot at redemption and which will go to the Maw, and Pelagos is like, yo, I kind of think every soul deserves a chance at redemption, to be honest. He says it's that compassion which means he keeps failing his Kyrian trials, because the whole point is to be completely dispassionate to the souls that they ferry through the afterlife. Basically, these quests take a good half an hour to show you why Pelagos would make a really good Arbiter before he becomes Dr. Manhattan, the Arbiter. If you've played through the quests, you already know how having Pelagos as the Arbiter will change the Shadowlands and make it better because the game told us. Something that a lot of people understandably miss when they just follow the conversation around the game but don't play it themselves until months after. Keep story off the PTR, please. And the reason Pelagos has to become the Arbiter in this surprisingly good scene, this scene which I suspected and then confirmed with insiders is in fact the first in-game hug in the history of World of Warcraft. Bit of World of Warcraft trivia for you there. Is because while we were infusing the Oracle with the intended souls, a Dreadlord crashed the party, killed them all, and revealed that Argus's soul entering into the Shadowlands is what took the Arbiter out in the first place, and moves to put the soul of Argus into the Oracle so that Argus will be the new Arbiter controlled by the Dreadlords, and obviously that would suck. So we fight the soul of Argus. This shit is wild and, incredibly enjoyable. The revelation that it was Argus's soul being sent to the Shadowlands, breaking it, isn't all that surprising. People have been speculating that since day one of Shadowlands and the cinematic showing the very Argus-coloured red bolt taking her out. But the confirmation of that, and that it happened because the Dreadlords had supposedly secretly been stuffing the unborn world soul with death magic while it was rebirthing Legion demons for Sargeras, has made a lot of people roll their eyes. I would like it explaining a little bit more explicitly, for sure. I feel like we need that, but in principle, I totally buy that as an explanation. Like, Kil'jaeden and Archimonde are originally mortals from our universe who would go to the Shadowlands when they die, but they've had so much exposure to the Fel that it's literally changed the plane of existence that they belong to, and when they die, they go to the Twisting Nether. So yeah, I can totally believe that if you fill a Titan world soul with enough death magic, it'll get sent to the Shadowlands when it dies. And I can totally believe that the Shadowlands isn't really built for that kind of thing, and it would cause some major catastrophe. No, the question is, how did they do it? And also, there are questions about how this massive and complex and ultimately pretty flimsy the Jailer's plan and machinations are, which is something I want to talk about in a separate video, because I think a lot of people misunderstand what the Jailer's plan actually is and has been all along, which is totally Blizzard's fault, but also kind of ours. I want to talk about it properly in a video, but the point I'm making is, All of this story here, playable on the PTR right now, hurts it and the game so much. So many of us consume the plot and narrative beats of this game, of this world, like a game of telephone. Details out of context and out of time. Character moments unearned because they are removed from the parts of the story that earns them. Revelations unexplained because they are separated from the parts of the game that explain them. I'm not gonna lie, as a content creator, it's great. There's always something to talk about. But as a player and a fan, and as someone who cares about the game, it sucks. It sucks so much. Yeah, this is like my number one hill to die on these days, and it will not be the last time you hear me talk about it, sorry. Oh, I think there's one more present under the tree, and it appears to have a Redbot spoiler bot on it. Shall we see what it is? Arthas! Yeah, we saw Arthas appear in the testing for the Anduin fight. It's just the Lich King model, and he shouts at Uther a bit. It's kind of disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, like, it doesn't really tell us anything about Arthas. There's gonna be a cinematic after that fight, so, you know. Oh, wait, I know I said that was the last present, but actually this is the last present. Yes, there are new Soulshapes coming in 9.2, including pigs and Brutosaurs. Yes, you can be a long boy. Not that long boy, the other long boy. This long boy will be you. Happy Winter Vale, everyone.
Wow, what a bumper extra special episode that was.
Wasn't it full of festive cheer?
Extreme festivity.
Wow, look, I'm not going to talk too much because Evitel's been on the Christmas whiskey and, you know, needs a little sleep by the fire in her slippers. Like, she's been on the sherry.
As if gin, pure gin, only gin for me.
Oh, lucky baby,
Yeah,
lucky
yeah.
baby. So there is. That's the last weekly reset of 2021.
Cool.
Not the last video on this channel probably because I've got some plans to get just some like little chats and stuff out while we're away. That's the last weekly reset. Hence the kind of the bumper, you know,
just everything all at once.
Big, massive package delivered from my sack. To your chimney.
Oh, thank you.
That's right. Hey, I got you a present.
Yeah.
It's the Exploring Kalimdoor book.
Hey, guess what? I know you didn't.
No, I did. Okay, so the Exploring Kalimdoor book has caused some controversy, which we didn't have a section on in the show, but we thought we'd just mention it right now.
Yeah.
It has been pushed back to January the 25th, I want to say.
So.
Except it's worth noticing, our Amazon pre-order still says December the 20th.
Yeah.
And it still says this will be releasing on December the 20th.
Still got 2 days.
Maybe we'll get it and find out. But those who have got like digital versions, I know some people have been offering to send us theirs and what have you, and some people have received it and read it. There was some controversy over, how would you put it, Evie?
Okay, there are two things. Well, the big one was the depiction of some of the races in Kalimdoor in the book, specifically like as seen through Zekhan, right?
Yeah.
Zekhan's eyes. He's one of the narrators of the book. There are a lot of things that just kind of reinforce, you know, just some of these old stereotypes that these characters are based on.
I think it's important to clarify there, like, we're not talking about, you know, Blizz did trolls dirty and they're my favourite race, and
right.
you know, or like they didn't depict the Tauren quite how I imagine them, or things like that. It's very specifically in relation to the real life human cultures that like the World of Warcraft races so clearly draw from, and like that's a natural part of fantasy, you know, but like Warcraft does it probably more than any other fantasy I can really think of, basically because Chris Metzen wrote it all in an afternoon one day,
like in the 90s.
And like, yeah, seriously, when he was like 20, right?
Yeah.
And had probably never been outside California, right?
So yeah, obviously
so, like,
it would be like that.
So he draws and like a lot of fantasy, it draws its different non-human races from like recognizable human cultures, okay, and like very recognizable human cultures. If I said like, who are the trolls, what are they based on, like people would say, oh, they're Jamaican, right, or like oh, they're Aztec, right, and it draws they're a mishmash, but they're a mishmash of incredibly recognizable real life cultures. And the problem when you do that, the potential problem when you do that, is if you then so clearly draws from real life cultures, there's a danger of falling into like cliche or damaging stereotypes of those cultures through your race. So if your trolls are clearly based on Jamaicans or Aztecs, and then you have something like Zakan can't read and write and needs to be taught and read and write by like the whitest elf on earth, Lorthamar, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't just say anything about the trolls. It's playing to stereotypes, damaging stereotypes of the cultures that you're drawing from.
Yeah.
Right? Because those cultures are so obvious in the way that you've built your races in the first place.
Of course. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of these things that have jumped out, that at least I've seen so far, like, it could just be in the way that we are reading the book, but it is the responsibility, I think, of the writers to make sure that you don't have those potential pitfalls and traps, that you don't read it and go, oh, wait, does that say that Zekan was illiterate and like only Lorthamar taught him to read? In the case of that passage, I think you could maybe read it as like, Lorthamar taught him his own language.
So, I mean, yeah, and Blizz have clearly kind of recalled this book.
Yeah.
Right? And there's clearly going to be some changes by the time it is published again properly. And I think when it does come back, there clearly will be like the word Taliesin in there or whatever, like right. just to clarify and just get out of that hole, right? And that's good. That's a good thing. Like, it'd be good if the book hadn't come out before this is noticed. The book came out, people were like, ooh. And some of it just doesn't make sense anyway. Like, why would Zakan not know what erosion is? He's like a shaman. Like, he understands the concept of water wearing away rock, right?
Exactly.
Like, and so, but again, it's just like he might not have known the particular word in that language, right? Which the book, I guess, should have just been more clear.
It's not clear, and that's the problem.
So that's not even a woke thing, right? That's just just literally like, why would Zakan not know what erosion is? That's got nothing to do with stereotypes or anything. That's just like, yeah. So it's kind of full of that. There are also some other like little lore niggles that people are finding in there in what's come out so far. There's a bit where they're clearly talking about the Well of Eternity, and they call it the Dark Portal by mistake, which clearly is just, I mean, that's just, again, you know, there seems to be like some really interesting stuff in there as well. So we are looking, and in fairness, like the Exploring Eastern Kingdoms book was so good. Genuinely my hopes are high. I haven't read this stuff myself. I've seen excerpts that people have shared.
Exactly.
The things that people are criticizing it for are pretty fair and legit.
Yeah, and personally, like, this is just a taste thing, but when I see someone writing in patois, like, I get a little.
Well, I mean, it's just a bit,
it's hard. I think it's really hard to do, but it's like,
really
how do you portray a character who like speaks a certain way? So that's a stylistic choice.
But I know, and like, okay, so that's Blizz trolls, right?
Yeah, I know.
What are you gonna do? But you can still avoid the more obvious stuff, right? I know. Oh, it's just so it's 2021, man.
I know.
It's almost 2022, and I know there will be loads of comments from the exact same people that got offended when I accurately referred to myself as a cis white het male, right?
How very dare you?
How very dare I accurately describe what I am?
Literally.
Like, and like those exact same people will be in the comments now if they made it this far, which they don't usually, and they'll be like, oh, what, how dare you saying it's good woke culture ruining, well, it's like, it's not that at all. It's just like,
you just need a bit of extra polish and proofreading.
Yeah,
a little
totally.
bit of sense checking, just going over it a few more times.
And that's before you even get on the goblin stuff as well, which is like, it's not great, is it? But anyway, hopefully that'll all be sorted when it comes out. Here's hoping that you get everything that your winter heart desires. It's fair to say, right, 2021 has not been a classic year in, well, human history, but also in the history of World of Warcraft.
No.
You know, I feel like there's been some good stuff. There's been some wonderful moments. But generally ain't going to be a classic. There's been mitigating circumstances for that. But, you know, fingers crossed. And I am genuinely hopeful for a lot of the 9.2 stuff.
Me too.
And
it makes me feel good.
A lot of resolution to a lot of kind of old continuing storylines, hopefully that you know, I feel have kind of dragged everything down a little bit over the last couple of years. And it'd be nice to see if the story team can kind of like, as they are implying they might make like a kind of a fresh start, and the systems teams as well, which it was all looking very promising. Guys, thank you for joining us today, and indeed throughout the entire year. If you like this video or any of our videos, even if it was only one, don't thank us, thank our patrons who continue to make all of our work possible, and like, I mean, every single tiny little bit They keep the lights on.
Yeah,
They
thank
keep
you
me in
guys.
coffee.
You've been brilliant.
They
You've
pay
been
for my
so
baby's
good.
food.
You guys have been so great, and it's been so nice to have you there, knowing that you're there, despite everything that's happened in this year.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely. What a nice little family it
Yeah.
is. So thank you. If you didn't like the video or any of our videos, downvote the shit out of it. And that's okay because it's Winter Veil.
Oh, we'll give you this one.
Yeah, we love you for it. And I hope you enjoy downvoting the shit out of it. I hope it makes you feel good. And I hope you have a really good year. From me, Taliesin.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.
In 2022.